Two, I think it took about two and a half days for her to really realize, because I think that they have drug doses or something, and the anesthesia like took like that whole first day was just done. It's like she heard it, but I don't think she fully got it. So yes,
Or in lieu of.
No, it's like money from the state amount for the purpose of grant funds.
The grant I do for has not existed in 10 years. It's still the same state.
Well, this was like in the mailing list. Yeah.
I know that's a really odd question, but like I have an old one and this is a new one, right?
Yeah, it's like a folder. And then it has this lock, so if I put it in my bag, it won't hit that and open.
Open and spill, because that's what's happened to me once. Only once. I don't know how only once. Why like it? Like that's no, it's not.
It's not at all for now.
Cause like I have the old one and that's my biggest gripe. But it won't fit.
You can buy, things that you throw in a cup holder that, fit in the cup holder. My brother bought it, and it makes it bigger to fit in that.
Sure will. I'm ready. After you.
So then maybe we need to see if we can move our research to the meeting. I'll make a suggestion to Megan. We typically have had like you or someone to share your updates or information or whatever you have. It was in January, it was like a Q&A with
I don't
you.
know,
But
but it was.
this is not to say you need to, so when I say that it's a share, I think you need to. But Bill would come to the meeting to just share random info, but it's
Yeah,
they're
never
like,
Um, So they are linked, but when you open them,
And Mr. Hubble came, my golf coach, and when he still sees me in public, he was like,
I had a headache afterwards, though.
Mr. Berger.
oh, see, they won't let me do those two.
But yeah,
That's me when they get
I wanted to make sure it's on your radar. So I'll see if we can make some.
Yeah, I actually thought I was gonna do it. No, I forgot.
You need to park somewhere random and like scroll down. I'm so glad you said that.
I read it last week.
Okay, I was like,
I don't know.
Because what is it called where you have to like do your
this is my second time seeing you.
Oh, Jennifer.
I haven't added yours yet. I haven't added anyone that ordered online.
That's why we needed up the.
My husband had it at work.
Oh.
And so I couldn't write on it. These are my favorite.
It's not even, but
It's also.
love her.
They are my house.
But I know my own. Hello, Zoe. How are you?
I don't know how to have those ones. My little ones love the celebration of friends. And I really like the chocolate dip. But those are very and then the firehouse, that's my preferred.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm showing. Okay, I'm showing how I love the first one. I was like, there's something ridiculous. Sure. You said good. I was like, yes. I was like, this is all she's doing fine. Yeah.
I try to distance myself from it because it makes me feel but now that there was something wrong.
Oh, is this any?
Yeah, like there might have been something wrong. I crashed. So she was out. Yeah, when she left, I crashed. I'm originally in Monterey. William Martin. Yes. Yeah. already checked it for Sarah.
Oh, that's troubling. I get a little scared.
And so I tried to put it away so.
I'm not gross though.
Oh, yeah. That's. Like I said, I got a real box. So that's really what's
Now I know you're playing. No. The answer to that is no.
they're keeping our 3 rounds.
We don't know.
And then basically there's not going to be any rest. Everything is and then you know, I mean, like, they're literally going to take something like basically the bottom of that. And that's
That's not Hi. Well, and also, I was like, I don't have anything. I'm so sorry. That's like, kids are coming in with this happens are talk about it. And it's like, no, I think there's just, there's literally nothing you can do.
I know, so I said you have to tell them
I'm happy to help, but they gotta know.
You want to learn? What number? 80s or 90s? Here we go.
I said I don't think so. I know.
I think
That was a twist I was not expecting.
so. Those are 3 rounds. So this is the intake.
Wow.
So then this is the adult section.
I mean, it's a whole journey that you just really have to agree. It's very long. But whoa, there's a twist at the end that I could have never seen. That on all the way at the top. Oh, you gotta go all the way. It's a journey.
I'm hoping by telling you one of them.
Don't let me forget.
I'll remember Carter was walking.
You said you're already over it?
Yeah.
It's it's already scary. Oh, oh.
He waved at me and he.
Because you're in for it. Oh.
You can sit here.
I don't know her.
We're hoping, that's what Joy asked. So, this is It does. I mean, I'm really excited. And they're gonna keep her two big circles. So like,
Yes.
I think that also, but they're really gonna for like,
I like sugar.
but right now a lot of them are less. And I know it's a custodian who was in a car backpack, so I went and chased him down, and like, where is he? He's like, I was like, two please, for the same. They look like it's more. And then it's, and he said, they were tracking. And I think these kids were gonna make it. That's how we get stuff done. I like it. And I'd like to know what they're doing, especially if you're naked. And I was like, he said, I purposely laid my shirt out for a month in the gym in different spots. And it's in hopes that they would have to walk by them to get out and practice or walk by them to leave and know what everything. They're literally bringing basic
That is not a lab.
I just said I don't know her.
That's not a people either. It's still a There's no.
I didn't say there wasn't one.
Described it terribly.
I didn't say she didn't exist. I just said I don't know her.
Her name is Lena. She was on Facebook. It's not her.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Southwestern City Schools Board of Education. The Board of Education welcomes and values your comments in the time set aside during the first regular meeting of the month for public participation. So all concerns may be heard, please observe these rules for public participation. Only 3 people may speak on the same topic. Each speaker may take up to 5 minutes to address the board, and each speaker may not reflect adversely on individuals. If a parent or community member has a complaint about an employee, it should be referred to the employee's supervisor. Those wishing to address the board on agenda items only may sign up at the podium prior to the start of the meeting. Tonight's forum to address the board concerning non-agenda items will include only those who had signed up by noon earlier today with the superintendent's office. These will take place at the end of tonight's agenda. As a reminder, public participation is an opportunity for the community to address the board in a formal setting. However, it is not designed or intended to be interactive. While we greatly appreciate individuals engaging with us, we expect the administrative and building level staff to work cooperatively with the community to address items discussed. We also request that the audience members be respectful of each participant in the process. We thank you for attending tonight's Board of Education meeting and for your support of our school system.
Would you please join me for a moment in silent prayer and the pledge? Thank you, everybody, for being here for the Monday, October 13th, 2025 regular meeting of the Southwestern City School Board. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele.
Here.
Ms. Liskini.
Here.
Ms. Martindale.
Here.
Mrs. Peterson.
Here.
Mr. Bosso.
Here. Moving on to adoption of the agenda, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the agenda for October 13th, 2025 regular school board meeting. Can I get a motion to move that forward? Thank you, Mrs. Martindale. Can I get a second?
Second, Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Roll call.
Ms. Martindale.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Ms. Liskini.
Yes.
Mr. Bosso.
Yes, moving on to approval of the minutes from the September 22nd, 2025 school board meeting. Can I get a motion to approve those?
Yes, D'Angelo Steele.
Thank you, Ms. D'Angelo Steele. Can I get a second?
Second, Liskini.
Thank you, Mrs. Liskini. Any corrections to those minutes? Seeing none, roll call.
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Ms. Liskini.
Yes.
Ms. Martindale.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Bosso.
Yes. Our first thing is a public hearing for our school calendars for the 26-27 and then the 27-28 school year with Mr. Matthew Castro.
Right, good evening, President Bosso, Vice President D'Angelo Steele, members of the board, Mr. Banks, and of course, Mr. Garside. I'm Matthew Castro, and I'm here to present the 26-27 and 27-28 calendar options after several months preparation and calendar feedback from stakeholders. The calendars presented were selected when soliciting feedback from parents, bargaining units, OPSI, SWIA, and SWAL. Here, if you pull up 26-27 for me. So for the 26-27 calendar option C with a preference, you'll notice that the students start with a 3-day week on the 19th, 20th, and 21st of August. There are 2 full weeks for winter break. Spring break will take place March 22nd to the 26th, and students' last day will be prior to Memorial Day on May 28th, which is a Friday. 27-28. For the 27-28 calendar, option B was a preference. Again, you will notice students start with a 3-day week on the 18th, 19th, and 20th of August. There's a shorter winter break with 8 days off. Spring break runs from March 20th to the 24th, and the students' last day is Thursday, May 25th. The intent was to end the 27-28 year earlier than usual to prepare for potential construction needs should opportunity present itself with CC fund. Any questions about the calendar so far? Presentation. So, how do we get here? How does this calendar get made? A couple different ways. So, you can go to the first slide for me. We have to take into consideration some collective bargaining considerations. So, OPSI Day, which is the 3rd Friday in October, which is going to be this week, is one of those that has to be considered. And then for the SWIA contract, you'll see some in-service and work days, or 3 additional in-service or work days shall be scheduled in one near the end of the first 3 grade holidays. Those are some things that we have to consider when we make the calendar. Some federal holiday and special considerations. So these are kind of all the dates that we have to plan around. Calendars, so Labor Day, OPSI Day, elections, Thanksgiving, and those couple days around it, Christmas and winter break, New Year's Day, MLK Day, and the day traditional after is PD Day, and President's Day, of course. And then some other things when we're planning the calendar, there's 177 students days. For our certificated staff, there are 185 work days with the majority of them. Obviously, we want to honor the election feedback where we want those days off in November and May for elections, we don't have school those days. Because anytime you take a day off, you got to put that in somewhere else, right? Obviously, we heard feedback from the last calendar. It's not going to end on a Monday with 1 student day, so we made sure we took care of that. Of course, there's always discussion around starting the school year for 3 days for students or 5 days for students. And what we've gathered is most people want the 3-day small group for students. Testing obviously plays into this, because once you start getting into the 2nd week of April, that can make a big hole into testing, so we want to make sure our students have consistent testing dates for not starting and stopping doing that. We have to plan around the semester marks and then grade period marks. And then of course with graduation, we try to plan out as quickly as possible we have to take into consideration getting those venues booked, and then, you know, how we get them booked. Some of those historical schools already have some of their dates and times set up, so as soon as we can get those on the books, we'll make sure that everybody knows we can get those out to the public. So some of the parent feedback we did receive, you'll notice that there weren't a ton of responses. But this is just some of the feedback that we did receive. Some preferences, with ending before Memorial Day, some wanted a later start in August. If you move it later in August, then it pushes it back after Memorial Day. And then, of course, some want an earlier start in August, so it can get out before June. So it all balances out though. Staggered starts, again, I'll mention that, you know, the shortened first week, so we have the Wednesday start. There's just some different preferences with that. Semester break, there was some feedback that people would like our spring break to be the same time that maybe other school districts have their spring break for different families and things like that. That's gonna be hard regardless, but we tried because Easter falls at very different times throughout the year. And there's an interest in fall break. Again, I think everybody would love a fall break. If you put a fall break in there, you gotta start school earlier or you're gonna end school later. So it's one of those other options. I think people would like to be off right now, but that's gonna change a lot of things towards the end of the school year. And then some additional requests for Thanksgiving break off and things like that. You'll see we did this email to all families. The survey was presented in multiple translations. There were social media posts, and then there was a front page of the website. And then our next steps, you know, we have our hearing tonight. The second one, November 17th, and then we voted on for the approval, and then that will go out to portals, the web calendars, and then building calendars. That kind of wraps up everything. Any questions or comments from the board?
Matt, just thank you for all the time you guys put into this. I know,
It's fun.
I can't imagine.
When I first met Mr. Banks, he's like, is that position, is your position still with the calendar? I was like, of course. So that was great. Is there any public feedback for these specific calendars?
Anyone? Oh, here we go.
Is Eid something that could also be taken into consideration?
Especially during fasting during
Is-
Ramadan.
Is Eid something that could be taken into consideration, just the 1 to 2 days that students tend to miss for that, because it tends to fall during testing sometimes. I know for the 27, 28 calendar, it's in February, so that would be less of an issue. I'm just not sure where it falls for this next school year.
Something sure might look into.
Yeah, it is taken into consideration. I know, the principals that they have understanding for those students, and I do know it is an excused absence. But as far as having the days completely off, like you were just mentioning too, when it comes to like Easter and things like that, like it's always hard to schedule for every single holiday. But I do know that, I'm gonna say the wrong principal's name, but I do know, the question has come up and they're, you know, hopefully working with the district to figure that out for all the students so they're not missing, or not being, and no penalization will happen for missing because of that. But it's something definitely to talk about.
Anyone else? Thank you again, Matt.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Moving on now to a presentation of our annual financial review and our 5-year forecast with Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, President Bosso, Vice President D'Angelo Steele, members of the board. It's a pleasure to go over the 2 financial reports I'm gonna talk about today. The first one is the annual financial review. It basically recaps what happened in our last fiscal year 24-25. And then the second report I'll go over is the 5-year forecast. That is more forward-looking, look at where our finances are going throughout the future. So that's the wrong presentation. There you go. There you go. Thank you. So overall, when you look at we have general fund revenues and expenses, and then we have other funds. I'm gonna talk first about our general fund. Our general fund is where we have all our operating expenses for operating our schools. For the most part, state funding makes up roughly 50% of the funds that we receive in our general fund. 37% comes from property taxes, and the other 13% comes from other sources. Other sources could be interest revenue, could also be we have some, another big source that we have is the TIFs that we have around here. We actually receive, we're a hold harmless TIF district, where we receive the property owners pay what our taxes actually, and those go through as other sources to us. They're not counted in as real estate until that TIF expires. So the breakdown is such. One thing that I'm concerned about is our state funding, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the 5-year forecast, but just want to put that out there that you know that 50% is coming from state sources currently. Move to the next slide. Our general fund expenditures primarily are salaries and benefits, and most of those salary and benefits come from instruction. As you can see from the functions on this slide, that we have roughly 73 cents of every dollar going to instruction. So most of our dollars are going towards right in the classroom, right to the students that we serve. We have another 14 cents going from every dollar going to transportation and maintenance. That's another big cost item that we have. And then we do, I always want to point out, our administrative costs are 8.8% of our overall general fund budget. Recently, the state legislators put on a cap that they said anybody over 15% would be not allowed, and we're well under 15%. If you look at us statewide, we're well under the state average as far as administrative costs go. Moving on to the next slide, talk a little bit about expenditures from other fund sources. 70% of our budget is in our general fund. So what I just talked about, 70% comes from our general fund. The other 30% comes from other funds. Primarily one of the bigger line items that is actually in the classrooms is our special revenue funds. Those are state and federal grants, our Title I, our IDEA funds, our Head Start. You can see that's about 20% of our budget comes into those. We also have capital projects of about 10%. That's our permanent improvement levy that was passed in 2007. That brings about $4 to $5 million in a year. If you go around our buildings, you'll see that the roofs are well maintained, the parking lots are well maintained. Everything is, I really put kudos out to our property services coordinator, Mark Meadows. He's done a great job keeping these buildings looking great. I know we talked a little bit about the appearance of our building at the last meeting, and so you can see that about 10% goes into our capital projects. We also have debt service of about 12%. That's where we pay for the mortgages for the buildings that were built, our elementary buildings, the 13 new elementary buildings, the 4 new middle schools, also Franklin Heights High School. All those buildings came at a no new millage, with a no new millage bond issue, so taxes didn't increase over what people are already paying. We were able to access 50% of the money from the state of Ohio, so we have a small portion of our other funds going to pay off those bonds that were issued to build those buildings. Internal service and agency funds, you can see those are kind of bigger pieces of the pie. We are self-insured through our health insurance. That's a pretty big portion of funds that go. So we have money set aside, premiums are paid by our employees and the board, and those funds go into a self-insurance fund to pay future claims. So that's a pretty decent size of our internal service fund. Also, we have a pretty decent sized amount that goes in for pensions the same way. We withhold the money, it goes in the internal service fund, and then we pay the bill to the pension systems. Our enterprise fund of roughly 8.5%, that's our food service program for the most part. Lisa Hamrick does a great job with our food service department. We are not transferring funds over to the food service department. A lot of school districts in the state of Ohio have to subsidize their food services. Here we run a pretty tight ship, and she does a great job over there, and I always want to commend her for that. Any questions on other funds or general fund so far? I'll move to the next slide. Okay, the next slide, this is just for informational purposes only. I'm not saying this is good or bad. It's just the facts and figures of where we stand in comparison to Franklin County. Currently, if you look at all of our levies, which include operating levies, PI levies, permanent improvement levies, and bond issues, we are currently ranked 15th out of 16 schools in Franklin County. If you look at just our operating mills, we're also at 15. And if you look at what we spend per pupil, we rank 13th in the county. As you can see, that little blue line designates the state of Ohio. The average expenditure per pupil in the state of Ohio is roughly $1,050 more than we spend here in Southwestern. If we were to spend that on our 21,000 kids, that's roughly $22 million more that we would be spending, just given the facts and figures on that. One thing I would like to point out too, if you look at the state of Ohio, in that middle column where I talk about effective operating mills for Southwestern City, we're at 20.83 operating mills. That's what the funds that go into our general fund to operate our schools. The state of Ohio, for the Class 1 residential, the average is 25.66. So they're, again, about 5 mills, a little bit less than 5 mills more than what Southwestern currently levies our taxpayers. That 25.66 mils at the state average level includes, there's been a lot of talk, if you've been reading in the paper, about emergency levies, permanent levies, different types of levies. That includes all types of levies. Southwestern specifically does not have any emergency levies. All our levies are permanent levies in nature, so just wanted to point that out. Any questions on the Franklin County comparisons or the state comparisons? All right, so let's move to our 5-year forecast. So here is a graph that designates our blue is our revenue, yellow is our expenditures, and our cash balance is the line. You can see that line is going down. Before you get too nervous, I just want to point out, remember last year at the end of the fiscal year, at the end of June, there was a lot of rhetoric going around at the state level about putting a set aside for how much districts could hold back. We have thoughtfully and carefully saved our money so we could weather financial storms in the future. So to do that, we had to set aside about $100 million into a separate fund to take out of our general fund so the state didn't take that away. Now, luckily that was all vetoed and that didn't happen, but that veto could go away. It's still in play, and it could happen all the way through December of 2026. So the funds are still in safekeeping, and we have those set aside for just such an event. But what I do want to point out is we have a situation in our cash balances that we are spending a little bit more than we're bringing in right now. And to give you the main reason, I want to go to the next slide. So here's the main reason. These are state fair school funding dollars. This is the dollars that we receive from the state of Ohio for fair school funding. A few things I want to point out about fair school funding is that the cost inputs, the base costs, were not increased in the last budget, the budget that started this year and goes into next year. So there was no increase in our fair school funding dollars. And one thing that also offsets our fair school funding is that when increases in property values go up, it takes into account the value of the properties that are going up, but it doesn't take into account how much you actually receive. So what it does is it messes with something called our state share percentage. Our state share percentage decreases as our values go up. The problem with that is that as our values go up, millage rate goes down. That can be a little confusing to people. So how to explain this best, I will tell you that before reappraisal, we had 29.3 effective mills. After reappraisal, our millage rate went down to 20.8 mills. So that's over 8 mills difference. We decreased by 8 mills. So how property taxes are collected is you multiply the assessed value by the millage rate. So because of House Bill 920, making sure that districts' taxes wouldn't go out the roof, if values go up, millage rate goes down, and it can only go down to 20 mills. It's as far as it can go down, so we're pretty close to that amount. And that's a lot of the rhetoric you hear right now, why taxes are such an issue. There are many districts in the state of Ohio that are at the 20 mil floor, and when their value values went up significantly, their taxes went up significantly. That, I believe, is kind of a problem. I do agree with that being a problem. I'm hopeful that legislators, and I'm gonna be speaking with as many as I can, I'm hopeful that they can understand that districts like ours and how it affects our state funding and how it also affects our property taxes, it's not, the system isn't working correctly. So we need to talk to them about that to try to get that all worked out. So for instance, our increase in Class 1 residential in value was 52% during the reappraisal. So that 50% of value decreased our effective operating mills, so we collect about the same amount of money. And some people will come to me, and I've had people come to me saying that, hey, everybody's paying more money. Well, how that really works, reappraisal is really a reallocation of how property taxes are paid. Some people during reappraisal, these people never come to me, some people during reappraisal, their taxes go down. Some people during reappraisal, their taxes go up. And how that works is if 50% is the average increase in property tax or property value, if my home goes up 60%, I'm gonna pay a little bit more. If my value of my home goes up 40%, then I'm gonna pay a little bit less. It really redistributes who pays what. So I know that's kind of confusing for some to see, but I can show you example after example where people's property taxes actually went down even though their value went up. So many conversations need to be had at the state level, and I've been in connection with a lot of those folks, and will keep in connection with a lot of those folks, and trying to work through this issue. I do, like I said, I do have sympathy, and I do understand that if you're at the 20 mil floor and your values went up significantly and your taxes went up significantly, that's not what we want to do, our taxpayers, for sure. Expenditures have been increasing. We can go to the next slide. So increases in assessed value, decreased state funding, that's an issue that we need to address. Property taxes, that just, as I said, the increases don't necessarily mean that we're getting increased revenue. Expenditures have been increasing. We're spending less than the state average, but we are seeing inflation. We're seeing how that's hitting our expenditures. Cash balances are beginning to decline, and so it's going to be more important than ever that we talk to our legislators about a real funding plan that will work for us. And also, we're going to have to, look hard at our own budgets and examine where we can, make some changes and do some things internally to try to save money in the future. So there's a lot going on with our 5-year forecast right now. I'm hopeful. Again, we have time, we have money, we save money on purpose to weather rainy days if they come, and the rainy day is here and it's coming. And so we just need to be able to pivot when we need to and be able to make changes when we need to. So I wanted to provide you that and answer any questions you may have at this time. I wish I had better news. I wish I had better news for you.
You left us all speechless. I think what you explained it to us, you did a great job, and I appreciate you so much in having me here. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on now to board reports. Any board reports? Seeing none, public participation on agenda items, which we do not have any of those tonight. We'll go right to student and staff achievement with Ms. Liskini.
Thank you, President Bosso. This evening, under student and staff achievement for October 2025, Southwestern City School student achievements, we want to say congratulations to Jonah Wiggum, a second grader at Prairie Norton Elementary School, on being named a 2025 National Math Star. Jonah is one of only 102 students nationwide recognized for exceptional math skills, problem-solving abilities, and academic promise. As part of this honor, he will receive long-term academic support over the next 10 years to help nurture his talents and open future opportunities in STEM fields. Last month, 13 Southwestern City School musicians were named to the 2025 OMEA All-State Ensembles. From Central Crossing High School, the All-State Choir members are Noah Abbey and Lydia Alexander. From Grove City High School, the All-State Choir members are Lily Frazita, Jackson Nelson, Maria Retia. All-State band members, Alex New, he plays the bass trombone, Chance Swayze, the euphonium, and Noah Mastalak, I think I got it right, plays the trombone. The All-State Orchestra members are Colin Nicholson, trumpet, and Nolan Gross plays the trumpet. From Westland High School, the All-State Choir members are Owen Cruz, Salomia Ontia, and Maxwell Cash. Under staff achievements for this month, we want to say congratulations to the Southwestern City Schools transportation team of Ian Cormack, Alex Merton, Pam Gilly, and Laura Price. The team earned 3rd place in the Central Region Ohio School Bus Driver Safety Rodeo on Saturday. The rodeo is a skills competition that tests drivers on precision, safety, and professionalism through a series of real-world driving challenges. I feel like this team won last year also. I know Ian was on the team last year, so if you see Ian, give him a big high five because he's amazing. And congratulations to 3 Southwestern teachers who were recently recognized as OCC Championship Coaches of the Year. Jamie Ramirez from Central Crossing High School, Mitch Slyman from Grove City High School, and Chance Van Gundy of West Franklin Elementary. He is a Dublin Kaufman coach. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on now to items for action under fiscal and operational management. Mrs. Peterson.
All right, I have 7 items I am going to be bringing forward. Item number 1 is our revised permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2025-2026. You're gonna see X1. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the revised permanent appropriations. Item 2 is investments and financial statements for September 2025. You're gonna see X2 and X3. It is recommended that in accordance with section 135.14 of the Ohio Revised Code, the Board of Education approves September investments and cash position report for the month of September of 2025. Item number 3 is payment of bills. You're gonna see X4. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve payment of bills according to the list of checks for the month of September 2025. Item 4 is donations. You're gonna see X5. We received an amount of total donations in $6,032, and the district and the board continues to express our gratitude and appreciation to our donors who continue to support Southwestern. Item number 5 is authorization to pay bills in accordance with section 5705.41, Ohio Revised Code. You're gonna see X6. It is recommended that the Board of Education authorize the treasurer to pay bills for September which were not processed in accordance with section 5705.41 of the Ohio Revised Code. Item 6 is approval of students deemed impractical to transport. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the list of students deemed impractical to transport for the 2025-2026 school year as presented, CX7. Little background on this one because I know you all have heard me bring up this list multiple times. The background on this one is we have approved several lists for students that we were aware of at that time. This list is for additional students that have been deemed impractical to transport since the last list was approved. We tend to have students ongoing coming in or coming out, making changes to move school buildings. outside of Southwestern, and so that's why an additional list can be generated since the time we present a previous list. Item number 7, approval of the 5-year forecast. It is recommended that the Board of Education authorize, approve the 5-year forecast as presented, CX8. After reviewing these items, I move them for passage.
Thank you, Mrs. Peterson. Can I get a second? Thank you, Mrs. Martindale. Roll call?
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Martindale, Mrs. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Mr. Bosso.
Yes. We're gonna stay with Mrs. Peterson for fiscal development.
Okay, here we are about facilities. I am bringing forward 2 items.
Sorry.
I knew what you meant, Chris. For the facilities, I'm bringing forward 2 facility items. The first one is approval of the addendum to the lease agreement for the Kingston School Building. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the attached addendum to the lease agreement with the City of Grove City for the Kingston Building. A little background on this. The current lease expires on December 31st of 2025. The parties agreed to extend the lease for the property located at 3226 Kingston Avenue beginning on January 1 of 2026 for an additional term of 120 months. The lease agreement shall continue to automatically renew for subsequent 120-month terms unless not less than 1 year prior to the end of the renewal lease for the term, either party provides to the other its written notice to terminate. Item 2 of this amendment, this amendment is section 6 of the lease is hereby amended to add the following. If landlord needs to use the premises for educational purposes, they shall provide the tenant at least 1 year notice. Okay, landlord means us, Southwestern City School District. Okay. The remainder of the terms and conditions of the lease shall remain in full force and in effect. So those are just the 3 items that's being amended for the lease for Kingston Building. The second item is the approval of the memorandum of understanding for the lease agreement for the Brook Park Middle School Building. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the attached memorandum of understanding to the lease agreement with the City of Grove City for the Brook Park Middle School Building. Background on this one. The current lease term for this expires July 31st of 2032. There is no change to that, okay? Since this lease had began, circumstances had changed so that it is necessary to clarify certain aspects of the lease. 1, general provisions. The purpose of this MOU is to clarify certain provisions stated in the lease. This MOU does not alter or amend the lease between Southwestern City School District, Board of Education, and the City of Grove City. Article 1 for premises. The parties agreed that the intent is to remove the existing modular structures on the premises, and this shall be done at the landlord's sole expense, Southwestern expense. Article 3, Section 5 is maintenance, repairs, improvements, and replacements. Under the lease, the tenant is responsible for repairs, replacement, and improvements to the interior and exterior of the building, including but not limited to the roof. The parties agreed to work together to correct leaks due to normal wear and tear to the existing roof structure, with the intent to prolong the life of the existing roof structure through the initial term of the lease. The last section, which is section 8 of Article 4, utilities and services. Under the lease, tenant is responsible for payment of all utilities, cleaning, trash services on the premises during the lease term. Due to the change in building space usage for school operations, as shown in Exhibit B1, the parties agree to prorate utilities based on formula originated by the landlord, with space use being part of criteria. Tenant agrees to begin reimbursement of utility costs effective December 1, 2025, to the landlord in the amount of $25,000 per year for all utilities, cleaning, trash services on the premises. As you all know now, Brook Park is now also the enrollment center. So that is why this MOU was drawn, so that we ensure fair usage of what the city of Grove City is using to what the district is now using for space in that building. After reviewing these items, I move them for passage.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Can I get a second?
Second, Liskini.
Thank you, Ms. Liskini. Roll call.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Ms. Martindale, Mr. Bosso.
Yes. Moving on now for items for action under students, school, and community with Ms. Liskini.
Thank you, President Bosso. This evening, under students, school, and community, we have 8 action items. The first one is Jackson Middle School 8th grade students to travel to Washington, D.C. This trip is planned for May 5th through the 8th, 2026, and students will miss 3 days of school. Trip expenses will be paid by students and parents. Number 2 is Grove City High School students to travel to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The Grove City varsity softball student athletes have the opportunity to travel to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for participation in the Grandstand Classic. This trip is planned for March 28th through April 4th, 2026, and students will miss 0 days of school. Trip expenses will be paid by fundraising, students, and parents. Number 3 is Grove City High School NJROTC students to travel to Indianapolis, Indiana. The NJROTC students have the opportunity to travel to Indiana for participation in the Area 14 Drill Championship. This trip is planned for February 27th and 28th, 2026, and students will miss 1 day of school. Trip expenses will be paid by the NJROTC. Number 4, Grove City High School NJROTC students to travel to Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. They have the opportunity to perform in the NJROTC regional meet. This trip is planned for November 7th and 8th, 2025, and students will miss 0 days of school. Trip expenses will be paid by the NJROTC. Number 5 is Grove City High School students to travel to New York City, New York. The Grove City High School news broadcast students have the opportunity to travel to New York City to gain real-world experience in broadcast journalism. The trip is planned for March 26th through the 28th of 2026, and students will miss 2 days of school. Trip expenses will be paid by the students and parents. Number 6, Grove City High School students to travel to Oxford, Alabama, and Davenport, Florida. The Grove City High School varsity baseball students have the opportunity to travel to Alabama and Florida to play baseball. The trip is planned for March 27th through April 4th, 2026, and students will miss 0 days of school. Trip expenses will be paid by fundraising, students, and parents. Number 7, Grove City High School wrestling team to travel to Akron, Ohio. The wrestling team students have the opportunity to travel to Akron for a tournament. This trip is planned for January 16th and 17th, 2026, and students will miss 1 day of school. Trip expenses will be paid by boosters. And number 8, Grove City High School wrestling team to travel to Findlay, Ohio. The wrestling team has an opportunity to travel to Findlay for a tournament as well. This trip is planned for December 19th through the 20th of 2025, and students will miss 1 day of school. Trip expenses will be paid by boosters. After reviewing these items, I move them for approval.
Thank you so much. Can I get a second, please? Thank you, Ms. Martindale. Roll call.
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Ms. Martindale, Ms. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes, I need to be
Rosa.
traveling with Grove City. All of them.
And that's a yes for me.
Yes.
All right, moving on now to items for action under personnel. Mrs. Martindale.
I'm still trying to gain my composure over here. There was a spider on my mic. You're lucky you didn't either A, see my spider dance, which is something, or past that. But
I
I'm
seen
here.
you leaning back, and I was like, does she not like my memorandum? I don't understand.
Okay. Yeah, my girls are gonna get a kick out of that. All right, so I've got several things that we need to bring up tonight. The first thing that I do wanna talk about before I get into my items for action is that we are having a transportation hiring event this Friday, October 17th, in this room, from 12 o'clock until 3 o'clock p.m. Additionally, we have openings for full-time and substitute educational aides, and bus drivers, and again, the district provides licensing and training, things that you, to be able to complete that position. Custodians and cooks, plus we are offering a special bonus incentive for our substitutes this year based on days worked in those roles. For 50 days worked, you get a bonus of $500. For 100 days worked, it's a $750 bonus, and if you sub for 150 days, you actually get a $1,000 bonus, so that's a great opportunity to make some additional money. So please, if you know of anybody that is looking for employment, we would love to have them, host them in this room on Friday from 12 to 3 to learn about those positions that we are hiring for. All right, and then, so in terms of my items for action here for tonight's board meeting, we've got 8 personnel items involving 494 persons. That includes 11 certificated resignations or retirements, 2 administrative changes in employment, 10 certificated change in employment status, 366 certificated employments, 209 of which are supplementals, 14 classified resignations, 19 classified changes in employment, and 71 classified employments. And having reviewed those items, I do move those for action.
And can I get a second, please?
Second, Peterson.
Thank you, Mrs. Peterson. Roll call.
Ms. Martindale?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele?
Yes.
Ms. Liskini?
Yes.
Okay, so in addition to that, I do have 2 messages of condolences, and I'm gonna do these separately, if that's okay with everybody. My first one is Krista Station. She was a member of the Southwestern City School Board of Education from 1990 until 2005. And serving 15 years on this board, Krista's slogan was Krista for Kids. And her daughter was reminiscing about this with me, that she would take her on the campaign trail and they would pass those things out. And she said that that was one thing that she always remembered about trying to campaign with her mom. Also, Krista often spoke of the 2 things that she was most proud of for being a part of this board. And one of those things was actually being a part of the team that hired Hugh Garson. She was very proud of that. And the second one, just being very involved with the design and construction of a lot of the new buildings that went up during that time. Her daughter shared with me that it was a passion project for her to make sure that kids were being the top priority as they were designing and then outfitting those classrooms. And so Krista did pass away on September 23rd of 2025, so in recognition and appreciation of her service to our district for 15 years, I do put forth a motion that the Board of Education expresses deepest sympathy to her family and friends. And then I will do another one here. Bill Williams. Bill began his employment in the Southwestern City Schools on July 8th of 2002 as a custodian at the Southwestern Career Academy. During his career in our district, he served as a custodian at Finland Middle, Franklin Woods, Jackson Middle, Hayes Intermediate, Holt Crossing Intermediate, Park Street Intermediate, and Darby Woods Elementary and Highland Park Elementary before returning back to where he started at Southwestern Career Academy for the remainder of his service to the district. Again, in recognition and appreciation of his service to the students and staff of our district, a motion is in order by the Board of Education expressing deepest sympathy to his family and friends, as Bill Williams passed away on September 24th of 2020. So, learning of both of these, we definitely want to let those friends and family know that we care and that their contribution to this district was appreciated and will be remembered. So I do put forth that motion.
Second, Peterson.
Roll call.
Ms. Martindale?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Ms. Liskini?
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bosso?
Yes. All right, moving on now for public participation related to non-agenda items. We will have our first speaker is Mr. Bob Root on school operations. I haven't seen you in a while. You look good.
Hey,
I
I
was
lost a little
told,
weight.
I was told you have an anniversary coming up. Is that?
Yeah.
Yes, congratulations to you and your wife. Yes.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations to both of you.
60 years she's put up with it.
She's a saint.
She is. My name is Bob Ruth. I've been a resident of and taxpayer in the Southwestern City School District for 53 years. I have a bit of history lesson for you folks. It involves the term fifth column. This phrase became popular during the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s. As 4 columns of nationalist troops marched toward Madrid, their general boasted he had a clandestine 5th column hidden within the city itself. These secret supporters, 5th columnists, would attack loyalist troops from within the city at the same time his other troops attacked from outside. In my opinion, certain members of this board are modern-day 5th columnists. Your extremist Confederates in the state legislature are attacking our public schools from the outside by funneling $1 billion. That's B as in boy, $billion, in taxes each and every year to religious, private, and charter schools. That $1 billion in state tax dollars, our tax dollars, should be going to financially strapped public schools like those in the Southwestern District, not religious and private schools. The formula your radical allies in the state legislature have designed is so unfair that on a per pupil basis, private voucher schools get twice as much state tax money as public schools. I know that sounds unbelievable, so let me repeat it. The state's taxpayer-financed voucher program gives twice as much state aid to private and religious schools as it gives per pupil to public schools. This brings up the question, how does this unfair and lopsided system affect us? Because the $1 billion in state taxes go to religious and private schools every year, our public schools will need ever-increasing property tax levies on homeowners to make up for the state aid that is being siphoned off to public schools. As Mr. Garside warned tonight, and you approved the 5-year projection, state aid will begin to public school will begin decreasing in 2027, I think I have that right, and continue to decrease through 2030. The issue here is very simple. Do you want to continue shifting hundreds of millions of tax dollars to private schools, or is that money better spent on public schools like Southwestern? Supporters of public education throughout Ohio have denounced the state legislature's extremist private school voucher agenda, but not certain members of this board. No. Instead, you support taxpayer-funded vouchers for public schools, for private schools, I'm sorry. You've even decided to withdraw Southwestern's financial support for a lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of taxpayer vouchers for private schools. Why on earth would you do this? You should be embracing this lawsuit instead of abandoning it. Board President Boso, you and a majority of this board have obviously chosen private schools over our own Southwestern public schools, in my opinion. I'll take away from my 5 minutes here. Mr. Bozo, you and your allies on this board are attacking Southwestern public schools from within, in my opinion, just like those fifth colonists in Spain did 90 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go to Terry Jones on a reading from the Gospel of Paul. Or John, I'm sorry.
Been quite a few years since I stood up here and addressed the school board. All new faces except for you, Garza. I don't remember you.
You look great, Terry. You look great, Terry.
Thank you. Bob Ruth, I remember you. We were allies on the same side 17 years ago. But now I'm a 71-year-old white male who embraces the cross of Jesus Christ. And first off, before I get into the Gospel of John here, first off, I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to speak here. Secondly, I'd like to say that I admire this board's patience. To be able to sit here time after time during public participation and having to endure the verbal hostility that you've had to put up with. The naysayers have been very clear in stating what they're all against. But I've yet to hear any of them say what they actually stand for and what they believe the future of our district should look like. And with that, let's get into the Gospel of John. Now, going to the 3rd chapter of John, and you'll know as I read that it goes a lot further than just the 16th verse. This is Jesus speaking. No one has ascended to heaven but he who came down from heaven. That is the Son of Man who is in heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He who believes in him is not condemned, but he who does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this is the condemnation, that light has come into the world, and men loved darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone practicing evil hates the light, and does not come to the light, lest his deeds should be exposed. But he who does the truth comes to the light, that his deeds may be clearly seen, that they have been done in God. Going down to the 34th verse. For whom God has sent speaks the words of God, for God does not give him the Spirit by measure. The Father loves the Son, and has given all things into his hand. He who believes in the Son has everlasting life, and he who does not believe the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abides on him. And with that, I'll turn it back over.
Thank you, Terry. Moving on now to Paul Roberts on safety analysis and proposals.
Good evening, everyone. I'll try not to raise my voice or get out of anybody's way. What I'm here to talk about is, on September 22nd, the board passed a motion to have the superintendent start receiving, from multiple sources, quotes to improve safety in schools. And I'm for that. I'm not against that, but I don't understand how in June you applauded the safety committee report that you received. You applauded it, thought it was fantastic, but 4 months later, we're ready to sink money into something, and if you're going to do that, why not sink it into improving what you already have? I've heard you talk, and some of you others talk, about people walking the halls, checking doors. That's because the alarm system on some desk tells them alarm's going off, but not what door it is or where it's located. So you have to send someone out there to walk those halls, find that door, shut it. But we're willing to spend money on getting somebody else to come in and tell us to do the same thing. Buy a better alarm system, put up some better cameras, improve the lighting. I mean, there's common sense things that we can do besides sending out money and proposals that we don't have as a district right now. Your budget just showed that. And I'm not trying to be hostile to any. I'm just saying, let's look at our options internally before we go external, because you have a lot of them. And I think that if you need a better thing, Columbus Police, Grove City Police, and Fire are more than capable of providing you better guidance if you ask for it. And with that, I give you my time back. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Next we have Michelle Roberts Harper on community involvement.
Hello. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Banks, and Mr. Garside. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. Did you know that October is Bullying Awareness Month? It seems to me that we, the adults of this community, are the ones who need to take responsibility and expect children to be kind to others, yet we as adults, representing this, you as adults representing the Southwestern City Schools Board, allow your own attorney to bully private citizens. A few weeks ago, I came across a video made with our Southwestern City School tax dollars by a lawyer that is currently being paid $9,000 a month for his services as a family law attorney for an education foundation. I'm told it was played at a partisan event where lawyer Tarazi was speaking on a panel largely promoted politics that hurt our school system as a whole and our students. Denise D'Angelo, you invited the community to come to that event, correct? However, and this was during a school board meeting, okay, so you asked them to come. However, when they came, they were not allowed to stay. They were asked to leave. Now, in my opinion, Mr. Tarazi used his position within the district to provide legitimacy to that panel. And I believe that was with your permission, Mr. Bozo, is that correct? Okay. In his taxpayer-funded video, the district, the educators, and an engaged parent were portrayed in an appalling manner. A manner in which I deem is mean, disrespectful, unprofessional, and very clearly bullying. He called parents names, he made untrue implications, and he made fun of a parent with cartoon images. Perhaps this is why other parents were not allowed to stay and watch the event, because he didn't want him to know what was going to be said and done. The mom that this happened to is a mom. She's very active in our district. She volunteers countless hours. I know, trust me. I'm at a different school than she's at now, and it's very different. She was very clearly portrayed in this demeaning video. She bravely stood here last month and acknowledged what was done. Half of you were so distracted, you didn't even acknowledge her. No one apologized to her. No one. Mr. Tarazi and one of Mr. Bozo's current running mates left the room. They didn't even listen to her. How dare they? I was taught to pay attention when people are speaking. I have watched videos of board members typing on their computer, writing notes, not paying attention. You don't have to engage with us, but you should at least pay attention to us. I have heard you make reference, and I quote, "the constituents who voted me in," end quote. That's correct. That's incorrect. Those are your blind followers. Your constituents are all members of the Southwestern City School District. The parents, the grandparents, the children, all of us, whether we have kids in the district or whether we don't. We are all your constituents. Yes, some believe differently than you. Some look differently than you. Some worship differently than you. Now, whether they voted for you or not, the people living in Southwestern City Schools, we are your constituents. We are the ones that should be represented. It is clear that some of you don't understand that based on the way that people that don't believe like you or look like you are treated by this board. The permission given to Mr. Tarazi to represent our district resulted in one active and dedicated parent of this district to be bullied. The ability to see when you do wrong, to be humble enough to acknowledge that you've done wrong, learn from it, and to take responsibility and apologize are pretty important qualities to me as a leader of the board and representation of our district. True leaders lead by example. You have failed us by the decision to not apologize to this dedicated parent volunteer for the actions of your attorney. Ms. Paul, I would like to personally apologize to you. I think it was sincerely and utterly horrific what was done to you. I want to thank you for your time and your effort that you dedicate to the children of this district. I can only hope that after the election next month, that the $9,000 that's
Michelle,
paid
thank
to
you
the
so much.
district will be put to better use.
Professionalism.
I'm actually not going to speak after all. I was speaking on behalf of a family who went through a tragedy, and they have decided they're not ready yet, so I am going to hold off on that for right now. But I would like to say one thing, and that is Ms. Martindale acknowledged two valued members of our Southwestern community that died. No one acknowledged this boy, and no one asked for a moment of silence at the beginning of the meeting for them. I think the board's priorities are screwed up.
Going on to items for discussion. Any items for discussion on the board?
I do have a couple things
Oh,
that I wanted to bring up. Thank you. I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Harmon at Harmon Elementary School for all of their hard work that he's doing over there, and all of his staff for achieving 4 stars on the state report card. Through lots of work and dedication, they lowered their chronic absenteeism by over 8% this last year. They're doing great things there. Also wanted to make note that Monterey Elementary is partnering with Charlie's Kids, which sponsors the Children's Tutoring Initiative. CTI will train volunteer tutors to help with reading. Monterey is looking for tutors on Wednesday mornings from 8:30 to 9:30 and from 9:15 to 10:15 a.m. So if you have any community, family, friends who are interested in volunteering as being a tutor, Monterey Elementary School needs you and our students. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on now to, we're gonna go to executive session. It's recommended the Board of Education adjourn for executive session according to policy 0166 to discuss, security arrangements, emergency response protocols for the school system, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee, and to prepare for conduct or review, negotiating, or bargaining sessions with public employees. We don't expect anything after executive session, but you're more than welcome to stay. Thank you for coming tonight. Can I get that motion?
Second, Liskini?
First.
Oh, first,
Thank
sorry.
you, Mrs. Liskini. Second,
Yeah.
thank you, Mrs. Lansdale.
I thought you said.
Roll call.
Ms. Liskini.
Yes.
Mr. Martindale. Mr. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Bosso.
Yes.
Bob, it's been a long time. Evan DeBoe. Good, good to see you. Congratulations. That's what I tell my dad as well too. Congratulations.